So you may have hopefully watched my first video on understanding the beginning writer to be ready for the second video, which is on part 2 on giving feedback to the beginning writer. To review, we know that beginning writers have poor motor skills, and sometimes older writers do too, weak vocabulary, and sometimes struggle with spelling. Again, these things I have taught 5th, 6th, 8th, and do apply to children, the whole range. But we're going to focus here on beginning writers. And you hopefully watched the experienced or tried it out yourself of writing with your non-dominant hand to give yourself weaker motor skills and not using the letter S to experience what it's like to have very poor spelling skills, and so to want to avoid certain words or to have a limited vocabulary because maybe English is not your dominant language. So let's go ahead and take a look at the piece that you've already seen, which I wrote about going to the park. And so we wrote, I went to the park. I played on the that go down. I went down. So we can see that in essence I was overloaded when I was trying to write it, trying to do too many things, and so the sentence doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. But let's go ahead and look at, from a more traditional point of view, how we might give feedback to this child. So we might start with something positive like, I like going to the park too. So we'll go ahead and write, I like going to the park too. So we want to give something positive. And then we're going to think, okay, I played on the thing that go down. And so you might want to say, you meant the slide, right? So we might cross it off and write, oh, that was the slide. And you might write, did you mean a slide? I went down. It might be like, oh, let's make a longer sentence. So let's add an I went down the slide. We might say, well, went down, let's change that to slid down the slide to give some more interesting verbs here. And then we might also say, let's work on neater handwriting. Let's work on your handwriting. Good job. Because we're trying to be positive here. Okay, so how does the child feel, or would you feel if this comes back to you? If you saw the previous video, you saw that this was actually extremely difficult to write because I was using my non-dominant hand and not using the letter S. And so I will admit that I started sort of relaxing my handwriting because it was hard. I was just like, whatever, let's just try to get some words down on the piece of paper. The feedback, while well-meaning, and we have a balance of positive to negative, does not make me want to write anymore. And it's just sort of an onslaught of red. While well-meaning, doesn't really motivate me. And probably when I would receive this feedback the day after I did the writing thing, which would be like being told, hey, yesterday when you kicked the soccer ball, you should have really used like turned your foot a little bit more. A little bit too much after the fact. So what if instead of all of this, while I was writing, so here we have another copy of it. Imagine, if you will, that I'm still writing. The teacher was going around and said, hey, today we're just going to be working on our neatness. And so I'm just going to mark one letter that's neat with a green pen and one thing that you can improve on with your red pen. And so if the teacher went around and was like, oh, let's take a look. That W right here is really nice. I want to see more W's like that. And this was a little hard to read right there, that W area. I can tell you my response to this is, okay, I did some good things, and yeah, I know I could improve in that because I see that I did better right here. So I want to keep writing. And no, you don't end with neatness, but it's just the beginning. If you want more, there's a great webcam at Whole Brain Teaching on red pen, green pen writing, and I highly encourage you to watch it.